Hello my readers and my fiction readers especially. Today I'm going to review you this book, Jasper Fforde, The Eyre Affair. This is a British writer and I have had this book for about 5 years and I never got around to it. But now I have some problems in my knees due to all the walking, so I have been reading a lot and I haven't, bought many new books. I have been just reading my backlog and there's a lot of in my backlog and this was one of them. And it's a fictional book. Is it a detective story? Is it a kind of crime story? At least it's not science fiction. It's kind of hard to put into any genre. It's not a thriller. Over here it just reads fiction. And it's a story about a character named Thursday Next, and he tries to throw a couple of jokes in this one, and I actually found this writer by typing on Google. I remember this like 5 years ago. Books or authors similar to Douglas Adams. I was reading the Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy in Finnish back then, and I found this writer and I didn't like it, when I read it a couple of 100 pages, back then, and now that I read it through, it's quite a shitty book, There's a couple of funny ideas of him like conversing like in a dialogue with the character and kind of breaking the boundaries of this like medium of writing. It's just kind of a couple of these funny ideas, but in a sense, it's very convoluted book. There's too much dialogue in it. The description is very weak. The characters are kind of not very fleshed out. I was reading Dan Simmons, like those two books, and I'm getting actually today the Abominable book from him, like one of the newest books by the guy, and he's an amazing writer. Like compared to this kind of stuff, he's amazing, and it's kind of the way that when you read shitty, fiction, you always learn something if you are a writer. But if you are not a writer, it's a pain in the ass. I would recommend reading shitty fiction if you are a writer. It will make you better, actually. But if this is not shitty, of course it was published, and of course it got through, all the systems. But I'm kind of thinking that what was this book even like about, And the cover of the book is kind of, funny, and it doesn't really match the story at all. It's much more grim actually, this book, than what you see in the cover. And there were a couple of these things about literature in itself, but I feel that, for example, in Dan Simmons' books, the references that he makes are kind of there for a reason, and yeah. I didn't like this, but maybe some other person might enjoy it more. But it just wasn't my style. It was by a British author, so that's kind of different. I have been, I think, reading quite a lot American authors, and yeah, maybe the way that he uses language is kind of different. But it's just too much dialogue. It's like half dialogue over here. It's kind of you get like 350 pages, and then if it's half a dialogue, it's really a 200-page book. There's so much white space in it, and I didn't like this, but yeah, that's just my own opinion of this. Thanks for watching The Eyre Affair, Jasper Fforde. I'm going through my backlog, and I hope. The next book I have over here, I'm gonna show this to you, by the way. Just wait a minute, I'm not gonna cut that thing out of the video, but this is the next book I'm probably going to read out of my backlog. Roger Zelazny, Lord of Light. This is a really well-known, sci-fi and fantasy writer, and I don't know, I read, like 50 pages, in my past of this book, and it's a book about well, Indian and Buddhist, religious themes intertwined into science fiction, storytelling. I don't know how it will be, but yeah, it's a science fiction masterworks book. But I'm going to read Dan Simmons next, and I have also coming in for me a book about public speaking. I hope that this year would be kind of transformational for my public speaking career. Yeah, but that's the Eyre affair. Hope you liked it.